So my name is Monica Ortega. I have two daughters. Ages are 6 and 8. And I've been a member of the Abundance Portals for this whole year, which has been a very interesting year of a lot of different revelations, just different things that have come up that were hidden, I think, just from, being in lockdown or being in solitude or whatever. It's really given me a lot of time to go in and really discover a lot of things that, just weren't, known to me. So through meditation and through a lot of just juicing and detoxifying and just, trying to really go inside, I've really discovered a lot of things about myself and how, energy and my energy works and how other people, and it's just been like an eye opener. It's like every day I could get to see more and I could get to experience more and I get to feel my way into a situation versus the way that I was programmed to think about it. Now it's more like a feeling instead of a thinking. So every day I'm learning and every day I'm just, grateful to be on the path of, balance and bringing a good, clear, harmonious space wherever I'm around, because I know that that's really, really important. So that's pretty much it.
Wholeness, sis. Thank you so much. I'm just receiving like how calming your energy is right now. And I just want you to know just how deeply felt you are. So Monica and I actually, and Tiara, spent a week in Costa Rica last year, coming up on a year, actually will be in February. And Abundance Portal was so already in the ethers. I think like when we took that trip, and a lot of things were, as I'm coming to realize. So I'm Veronica Fortunati. I'm one of the founding members of Abundance Portals. And yes, Abundance Portals has come a long way in a short period of time. Where it is today is nowhere near where it was when we actually started, putting things together and building. So again, we're just here to create a very organic and safe space to be able to continue to expand in our spiritual journey and the always continuing paradigm shifts. So here we are. Wholeness.
Wholeness. I'm Tiara, and I'm a founding member of Abundance Portals also, and just happy to share space with you all. I'm glad we took this journey. I know it's been a lot of ups and downs and bumps in the road, but thankful to Witchby and Veronica and Monica for holding it down. I'm a mom of two boys. I'm in maternal health and herbalism. And this year for me has been like a lot of lessons, a lot of transformations, and a lot of going within, like what Monica said, certainly with the quarantine and, being on shutdown, you have more time to self-reflect and just, see what you can improve on. And I've had a lot to improve on this year, a lot. And it's still a work in progress. I mean, it's about progress and not perfection, and I'm progressing daily. So just happy to be here and share with you all. Wholeness.
Wholenesses, thank you.
Wholeness. My name is Deas Wishby, and I'm also one of the founding members of Abundance Portals. And this year for me has been an amazing ride. I've fully gone into basically working for myself and doing everything that I that I wanted to do, or I'm in a space, like I think the same way like Monica was saying, I'm in a space that's for growth and expansion, and it's just an amazing ride, you know, for as much as it, you know, everything is like a wild ride because it's ups and downs to it. So it's a very transformative year for me. So yeah, so I'm just happy in general to be here and to be in the receiving end of everything. Yeah.
Thank you. So
So I can introduce the topic. Our topic tonight is about what we all started with. It's like, so this is 2020 and we're coming toward the culmination of 2020. We are coming toward what you said, toward the end of the year. So there's like literally like, I guess 20 days left, right? And funny, right? I just realized 2020 and there's 20 days left and we're talking about like, so, and so with that, or maybe 21 days, right, goes to 31st. But with that being said, it's, you know, we feel some of the energy. So we want to talk about some of the portals that that are opening or have opened this year, and especially a lot of the shift, you know, within the consciousness of the collective, and then of course how it reflects within our own lives and what, you know, what we've experienced. So specifically 1212 is a big portal opening. 1214 there's an eclipse, and then of course there's the energies of 1221, which everyone, you know, it's the solstice, but it's also is a conjunction between Saturn and I think Jupiter. Yeah, Saturn and Jupiter, which, you know, Jupiter is massive, and Saturn controls a lot of this space, because, you know, Saturn brings order. And I mean, the energy of Saturn has literally, I feel, been moving forward since 2019, but now it's really coming into, you know, its own and the power, because it's gonna rule. I think I was hearing Neva this earlier this morning when we were at IG, that it's definitely going to rule 2021, and I definitely thought it ruled 2020. So because I remember some of the events that happened were definitely a lot of the eights, a lot of the Saturn numbers were just on point. So if you're one of those people who watch numerology, who understand in numerology, from a lot of the big shocks of this year were eights, were Saturn energy. And a lot of the people that you saw in the news, like literally turned out, if you did the numbers on them, they were Saturn. So Saturn, that energy itself was showing itself throughout the year. And then for me, you know, there was a long time that Mars was in Aries. And I think Mars was in Aries for like almost the whole month of, for more than a month. And, you know, so and Mars went direct, and then, you know, and then it went retrograde. So it was like a whole in Aries. And my thing was like, I'm in Aries. So, so that I'm in Aries and Mars as well because of my zodiac sign, not my numerology, but so the energy itself, it was just like really felt, you know, by me. However, I'm a little bit older, so I tend not to let the fighter come out, you know, but we all fight in our own way. And then what's happening again for me this past, you know, week, and then going into next week, is that the eclipse is gonna be in K2, right? And this has, you know, my numerology is 7, which is K2, which is the south node of the moon, and I seriously have felt this energy, like you know, and it's and I kept, you know, all week it keeps coming, and of course the eclipse is on Tuesday or Monday on the 14th, I think. And so, you know, with that said, you know, without me just talking about my experiences, I wanted to open the floor to everyone with whatever it is that you feel about, you know, 2020 portals. as we move toward 2021, I think one thing as well is that people are expecting like an ending on the 21st, which is like, no, this is this is like another wave, and it can shake us, but that's why you need to maintain your foundation strong. So, but I want to open the floor to for anyone to say.
I'll jump in there. Much like you, I've had some of the same experiences, just been in Aries as well, and ruled by Mars. With Mars in retrograde, a lot of my lessons came this year, but what I'm finding is this year we learn or we loop, and we have the power to create those ripples and how you throw the rock in the pond and it creates the ripples. And I've had my own personal things going on, obviously, but I was talking to my sister in the midst of a storm, and she was just saying, you can't respond the way old Tierra will respond. And she was able to finish my sentences. And she's like, you want to do this because you want to show them this. And, and she knows me. So I'm like, yeah. And I couldn't. I'm glad she was able to stop me, but it was just, it is imperative that you do something completely different. And she was like, you don't get to pick and choose, when you're going to apply everything that you've been learning. Now is the time. And she's like, if you don't choose to respond differently, you loop, you didn't learn. And I don't want to sign back up for anything that I've already done. So I chose to respond differently. And it was a completely different outcome. And I know that, I know the 7-8 year cycles and, the changes that we have the power to make. And I was able to change some things and I was able to see it. And then, not being distracted with everything else so I could manifest like I needed to. And I guess just learning, the effects of my own behavior and going within and just realizing all is self. And, I'm creating a lot of the issues that I have, several of them, all of them actually. But I'm the creator of it. And just when I see that, things are not in alignment, I have to go within. And I've had to do that so many times this year. And it's like over and over. And it's been so repetitive where now I think I finally got it. It took me all year, but I got it. So, I'm looking forward to, some new things. And like Witchby said, it's a wave. I do feel like it is a wave in the sense of, buckle up for the ride. But I also feel like it is, some things have come to a close, maybe not an end, but just, maybe I can say a transition, where I've transformed and made some changes where I'm transitioning in a lot of different ways. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Beautiful wholeness. Thank you, sis. So I felt very activated in that moment that you said, you learn or you loop. It's just, I know we say this all the time, but it was just that distinct moment here of you saying that just brought me to just this very intrinsic moment of stillness and what that actually means, because I really feel like this entire year has been about just noticing and being aware of the loops that we get pulled into, that we, one, create, we create it, and then 2, we just are like the dog chasing its own tail and not seeing it. And so when again, it just feels like this year for me has really been about being that detached observer. So it's been like high intention, low attachment type of year, and really being able to extract myself and just being able to not attach to all of these emotions that are coming through the space, as I feel like most of us have really positioned ourselves in a way where we are in situations, whether it's moving in with family like I did this year, and just really being tested and triggered, you know, by family, by all of these relationships, you know, that are essentially there to play their role so that you can continue to transcend all of these things and really meet yourself and come into the space that we are now, which is, I feel like the merge for me. And so that's been my experience, and I feel you on it being like feeling like there's things that are definitely coming into a close. That's become increasingly clear for me, you know, really coming into, you know, my family's home this year, which was initially thinking that it was one thing and then realizing it was like, oh, I actually really need to work on my foundation here. And that's been hugely what this year has been about. And then it's been so much beyond that as well, especially like just like the last quarter of this year, I feel like has been enormous growth as I'm able to bring certain things to a close, which has a lot to do with healing family lineage, healing the ancestral lineage, having my grandmother transition, having the healing going on between the trinity of my mother, myself, and my grandmother, and what that means. I mean, just to even be able to just take in the time that is required to like fully immerse yourself in that experience of what that has meant for me, and not gloss over it, you know, just really going through a process of fully honoring the sacredness of life, you know, and not rushing through anything anymore, but really creating my own melody, my own rhythm, you know, and really now getting to experience what my own sound is. So that's hugely what it's been like for me this past quarter, which I think is just a gift that really has been 2020. As difficult and challenging and as 2020 has been, it has been, you know, when we're able to seize the moments, when we're able to seize the opportunity for growth and expansion, because they're there all the time, it's just like, it really has been a gift. I feel like it's been a gift for anybody that's just been ready to tap into that energy and receive it, you know, and it definitely is here now. And yeah, just feeling like this enormous merge, you know. I just got back from visiting the sister, you know, Widgeby and Dominic as well in New York. And it's just been, again, feeling like I wasn't really sure what was calling me. And so I went with certain intentions, and just, I feel like I came home to a different space. And that is most certainly because it's just the space within me has completely shifted. And what I mean by that is that there is a merge that's going on in my own consciousness. I'm really seeing and feeling, I'm really feeling the unification of the consciousness within, and how that is gifting us with the sight to really be able to recognize that in the external, which is really just the eye seeing it through the inside. And been a trip. It's really been a trip, you know. So that's been my experience most recently, and it's been challenging, and it's been absolutely beautiful. So just giving thanks and honor that, you know, again, just to be in the receiving end, as the sister said, to all of this. So
Wholeness.
Wholeness, that was really beautiful. I see like the shift in all of you guys too. I see it in the way you guys are speaking too. But for me, I've been like having really euphoric moments. Like I have a hammock in my backyard, and I usually hang out over there like pretty much all the time. And now my kids, like when they look for me, they go over there because they know I'm going to be there. And I'm just like zoning out, like looking out into the sky and just like really just zoning out. And I've just been like laughing, you know, because it's just like funny. It's almost like comical, you know, like I get like feelings of like thinking, who do I think I am, as far as like, who am I? And it just becomes really funny that I can identify myself as a woman, as a mother, as all these things that I really am not, you know, and that I'm just like part of the tree and part of the sky and part of the hammock and part of everything. And yet I like separate myself and think of myself as an identity and think of myself as a person and think of myself as a woman and all these characteristics that like have nothing to do with anything. And it just becomes really funny. And I just like laugh. And then my kids like look at me and they're like, oh, mom, you know, they're just like, oh, mom, you've lost it. And I'm like, I hope so. So those are my kind of moments, you know, where I'm just like so out of my mind that I'm just like not part of my mind and I'm like disconnected with my identity and who I am and who I think I am. And I just become like one, you know, and it just becomes really funny. It just becomes funny because I think we're so wrapped up, you know, in the drama and in the role, you know, and it gets when you can like have a glimpse of like separation and you can actually like detach from you, it becomes really funny.
Mhm.
So
Both of you mentioned that. And that, you know, I live by connected to everything, attached to nothing. We have to stay somewhat detached, completely detached if we can, because everything is temporary in this life, you know, in this physical form is all temporary. And I think when you can stay detached, but still connected to source, connected to our sisters, our brother, just connected to everything that, you know, you get it. And you, there's mental clarity. It's not, you know, clouded judgment. It's just, it unfolds for you as it should. And so that's what I strive for. I don't always make it. I do have a couple of attachments, but like I was going through it and I spoke to Sister Witchby and she helped me to realize immediately it is you. Like you need to step back and because I'm over here getting into it with my mom about my things. I'm at my sister's house into it with them about my things. And I talked to her and I got on the road. And I mean, to even further solidify it, I had the dog and the baby with me and they were in the car asleep, but I drove from Missouri to Texas in like an 8-hour drive and I couldn't find the dog leash. It's like midnight. So I stopped to get gas and I let the dog out and I just held her by her collar and I let her go right there in the grass at the gas station. And as I was leaning down holding her, I saw this really big feather. And it was like, I mean, it solidified what Sister Witchby had just told me and what I know I need to do anyway. And I need it to be light as that feather. Like I have to shed some things. And so that's what I've been doing. It's been a journey and a trip, but that's what I've been doing. Just, you know, it's almost like when you go through these transformations and you do these changes, just like everybody can't go, everything can't go either. And that's been a tough lesson for me. And it's like, are you starting a new life or not? You know, and I'm trying to bring all of these old things into a new life and it's not working out. And so it is, you know, I've had to shed a lot, but I didn't mean to go on that complete tangent, but just how you all said, you know, the detachment and being connected. That's where I was going with that.
No, but I think you're saying about
Very on point, actually.
That's on point. Yeah, I agree.
Very on point.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Not a tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, one of the things that I noticed is just that this energy is actually not going to allow you to bring any of the baggage into the space. It won't, because that's not what's conducive to your growth. And we've just reached the mark now where it's like, if the portal is there, if you want to enter, you need to check the bags at the door, because there's no other way, like no other way. So whatever it is that's coming up, address it, meet it, do whatever you need to do to merge with it or let it dissipate, whatever needs to happen, because you're not bringing it with you.
Right. And I think that's been a part of my lesson too, just letting go.
Yes.
Not letting go of things, but letting go of people in order for my own growth. And my sister was explaining to me in one of those moments that she's like, this is just how it came packaged. This is the lesson. It's unfortunate that it came packaged with these people, you know, people who we love and or who I love, of course, but she's like, it's still the lesson. The lesson is still there. It hasn't changed. It just showed up in this form. So she's like, you have to be able to step out of it and see, you know, what is truly going on here.
Right.
And I was able to.
Yeah, it's definitely like nobody's saying leave the lesson. Bring the lesson, leave the story.
Right.
All that, but you don't need it. It's just weight. It's just
Right.
weight. We just bring and continue to use the lesson to continue to catapult us forward, because again, you will continue to tap into that. You know, these are lessons that like you've mastered them, and it is like you've healed. You've mastered them. Now let go of the narrative, let go of that story, and move forward with what is actually serving you.
Yeah.
Which is those gems. You know, you don't need the other stuff, is what it's really communicating quite loudly.
I know. And all I could think about, I listened to an old video of Seven, and he was saying he heard it clear, and it was like, no, James, you have to wait. You're carrying too much weight. You have to get light in order to be light. And I mean, it rang. So, I mean, it resonated because that is the point that I was at.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. So for me, like the whole idea of getting, of this space, it's like, so we had to, we talked about this is air, right? This is this is the age that we're coming into. So the same way, like, you know, Tiara saying light as a feather, like, you know, a lot of the things that hold us, you know, here into this dimension are heavy, you know, they're very heavy. They're not, you know, and there's a way to transmute all of these energies, because you know, it's like a way, it's not so much that, I feel like it's not so much that you don't take things with you, you know, you just take them with you in another form. So that's the transformation, where you have to be able to transform yourself and all of the stuff that you learn into like into this new paradigm. And, you know, like Sister Veronica is saying about, you know, being able to take the lesson and leave the history behind, because we bought these histories, right? It's like we're watching movies. You know, that was one of the things that I realized, memory doesn't work like movies do. You know, there is a part of us that can classify, you know, certain, you know, like a linear, but that's not all there is. There's multiple ways that we learn. There's multiple ways that we remember things. And so it's not just a one way. So you have to be able to be malleable to shift. And that's some of the shifts that's going on, to shift within what it is that we're learning, so that you can start to see the different levels of things that you're learning. Because you could be learning one thing, but there's different aspect of yourself that's taking in the information. And some of the aspects are not all linear. It's not just going one way. Like, let's say if you're watching a movie from beginning to end, or if you are watching or if you are reading a book from beginning to end, you know, more life is more like, you know, the series of books, you know what I mean? It's like, so you can have the story, like, or a storyline that jumps, you know, so that it's like within timelines, within, you know, even our own lives, our present lives, within our relationships. All of these things are telling us information, and it's giving us vital information as to like where we are at, who we are, how to maneuver this space. And so it's important not to get stuck into the one paradigm, especially now when there's several paradigms going on at the same time. And then you have several factors trying to tell you to pick one. And the thing is, like, you don't need to pick one, because you can pick them all, like literally. And that's being able to do that, to be able to say, okay, I'm not gonna pick one, I can pick either all or multiple, because that's where I'm at, and you understand where you are at, in terms of like the shift, you know, going on within ourselves and then within the larger collective. So yeah, these portals are real, and it is time for transformation. You know, like you said, it's either you cut, like you transform, and it's not even a leaving behind. I just feel that you don't exist, you know. Like, how do you want to exist in this new space? You know, I think I was talking to my mom when I was trying to explain to her like how this is. So you can start looking at it like at the beginning of this year, we were able to use money more often. Now, just see like how much physical money do you use? Not to say that you don't, but even from comparing, like, you know, the beginning of this year, I'm not even going to say 5 years ago or even last year, you know, where a lot of this stuff is online. I don't care if you live in a third world country, you're still facing that same thing where, you know, money is digitalized. You know, many people are now working online, working from home. That's the working on the air, like, you know, so we're already doing the transition to the air. And, you know, can you come down? Yes. However, for how long? And so really understand, when we're talking about this age, we already doing it. And for us, you know, and the many who can't come with us, those are the ones that are dying. And why, by, you know, die, which is the dividing of the cell. And that divided cell is just going to also evolve. So when the cell dies, it evolves, you know. So you sort of have no choice. It's just, are you gonna go forth with the consciousness that you have now, or you're gonna lose that consciousness, so that you go into your next life without the knowledge that and the lessons that you've learned in this one, you know.
Sis. Absolutely. That was powerful. Thank you so much. I'm still taking it in, the part where you're basically emphasizing like you don't have to choose. First of all, that was like, just want to highlight that. But absolutely, like, just going into this new space, it just feels like, you know, you could very well, again, it is a matter of choice, bring with you, you know, the baggage, but you're gonna feel the effects of that. If you think that you've been feeling the effects of that now, in the space that, you know, we're kind of lingering in now, moving forward, you're really gonna feel the effects of that weight.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, it's like I don't see for long many people being able to not move into the age, because that's the space the whole world is in.
That's just where we're going. Yeah,
right, that's where we're going. Because remember, that's one of the things, is like the planet is not stationary. So everybody understand that the planet itself, the planet that we call Earth, is not stationary. It moves around our solar system. Well, the solar system also moves around the galaxy. So, and then our galaxy moves around the bigger omniverse. So we are constantly moving. So we're now in a new space, and that new space has a different air, has a different water, has a different taste. It tastes different. It smells different. It's like, so
it feels different.
It feels different, right?
It feels different.
So a lot of us are going through physical changes as well. Like, you know, meaning physically, like one of the things, like I can tell you, one of the things that I remember, there was a time that I saw many fat people, and I was one of them. So just so people can get out of that mindset. There were a lot of people that were fat. Just think about, like, when somebody's fat, what are they? Heavy, right? And then now, a lot of these fat people lost weight. Well, however, you know, and there's many, and this is just one example of this this I'm trying to, the example I'm trying to show, right? And then, but if you just physically look around, you'll just see like they, because I remember like if you go into the mall, you'll just see like a lot of people were heavy set. And then, or the other way was like, you'll just see a lot of skinny people, you know? And so now it's like, there's like a transition into like, everybody's looking, they just look different and they're not as heavy. And it's you know, like just look at the perception. I was like, oh wow, that's like, you know, because the reason why I noticed it was because I went into a space where there was people that were like heavy. By heavy, I mean like over 200, over 300 pounds. And I was like, oh, that they look strange. And I remember the time when they didn't look strange because I was one of them, you know, so remember how the perception goes. And there's so many examples in our world that's like that. Even from the phones, I don't know, depending on how old you are, there were pay phones. I went into Manhattan. When I went to Manhattan with Sister Veronica, we were, I distinctly looked at the bike. There was the things that held the bike. I don't know if you remember, Veronica, the things that held the bike. And my memory just shifted. All I saw again was the rows. So instead of rows of bikes, it was rows of payphones. And so again, there was a time when it was lined up with payphones on the streets of Manhattan. And then now it's really lined up with bikes.
Yep.
And it was such a stark contrast, you know, not to say, and I've been to Manhattan, but it was like that moment that I saw that I was like, oh, that space no longer, it's not that it no longer exists, we're just not in that space anymore. So it's filled. And this is where you just sort of see like we live within the timelines are sort of stacked on top of each other, you know? And so like when you shift into one timeline, you know, from, you know, you can shift into one timeline to another, you're gonna run into like, oh, this doesn't exist here. You know, these people doesn't exist here. These things don't exist here. Because even like the commercial of like when it was like, you know, it was there was a point where everybody has cell phone. And then of course you had to pay for cell phone, right? You had to pay for the service, very expensive. However, 7 o'clock, which was funny, like, you know, there was a commercial that was like 7. It was about, oh, 7. But think about the whole 7 though. Number 7 is like really important, right? So it was like the commercial was like, you know, this young girl screaming it that it's 7. Everybody's happy that it's 7. It's like 7. They can't wait for it to be 7 because that means the cell phones were all free. And so all of that. Go ahead. Somebody wanted to jump in. Sorry, I was talking away.
No, we're listening.
No, we were listening, but I remember that. I remember the free minutes after 7 o'clock. I do remember that.
Yeah, the free minutes after 7. You know, it may have been the regular phones or cell phone, but all of these were shift into different timelines. And you can sort of like know exactly when a timeline shift by some of these changes that are actually radical. They're really radical, like, you know, going into the space where, you know, now you can use your cell phone. Now I'm walking around with my iPhone like it's a computer. And it's not just me. People in the third world are walking around that way, you know. So if you go to Haiti, you'll find like everybody has a cell phone and they're, you know, and they're utilizing it the same way. So it's the whole planet that is shifting into this timeline. And so the whole consciousness is shifting into this timeline. But how do you make the shift? Because remember, change, you know, change can be abrupt. Change can destroy a person as well, you know. So within yourself of knowing who you are, how do you make these changes? And I really feel that it's important, you know, not to be held back by a lot of old paradigms, such as race, such as sexism, so like, you know, such as economic disparities, you know, because they're all sort of like illusions of the self, of who we think we are. Like when Sister Monica started, she talked about that, right? Like, so we really want to hone in to this shift on the larger society by really seeing those markers, because they're really clear. They're clear out there. And the
Very
big
clear.
one is the money shift, right? The shift in digital from physical money to into digital money. So, and however way we can find to explain it to our family members who don't necessarily, who are not necessarily there to understand, but we can sort of start putting some of these seeds out there, in terms of, like I explained to my mom, I was like, hey, now you have to use the cell phone, because one of the things with her was that she had her phone just to call people. And now, like, this year I was very strict, and I really mean it, and people could have said I was being a hard ass, but I was very strict into like saying, like, she wasn't to rely on me to do some of these transactions where she needed to do her banking stuff. She needed to do, some of the stuff because they're all online, because there is no physical bank. Some of the banks are closed. So you have to do the transaction online. So for a lot of us who are looking at shutdown as, oh, it's a bad thing, shutdown is forcing some of the people who don't want to change to change.
Mm-hmm.
So until they do that shift in consciousness, it's going to look in the reality like they're in jail or in their prison, or they're being forced to do something or to take something. But if you shift your perception in that, you will definitely not have to suffer through the shift.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let go or be dragged.
Exactly.
Let go or be dragged, people, because that's what it's saying.
What are we doing to not be left behind, or to make sure we're shifting and we have the massive shift in consciousness as well? With me, I feel like I started to follow those impulses. I would get urges to do certain things. And I always acted on them. Like I had to let go and do it. In 2017, and we've talked about this before, but I went from computer science to maternal health. That was a huge thing, but it woke up in me. I think it was there all along, but it woke up in me. But we feel these impulses where I have to do this. And I feel like if you follow it, you'll be guided anyway. The path will be laid out for you. But if you resist, you get left behind. But there's so many things that we have to do, just changing with the times, just, you said that about cash. I keep a lot of cash, but I know that I have to do most of the things with like digital currency, or I can do things with digital currency. The option is there, and I need to start switching over. So I have talked to my family about that. Of course, I'm like the black sheep in my family, but I'm trying to get everybody on board. And I have my sister too, but just trying to introduce new things to them. Like, this is now the new way. And with Granny, you don't have to drive to pay bills anymore. Nobody's doing that. You don't have to mail a check. Nobody's doing any of that anymore. And I'm like, it's as simple as get on here. And it's so weird. I was with my aunt, and she's like, I don't know, the mind is just so far behind. It's like dinosaur. It's like, it's so ancient, but just trying to get them to speed up with the times. Like, look, life is easier. It's more convenient. But if you try to hold on to that, you'll be eliminated in the game. So I think if we follow those urges and those prompts, that dormant DNA is activated in all of us, a lot of us. But just not missing the mark on that. If you choose to ignore it, you'll miss it. But I think if you tap in and tune in, you don't miss the mark on it. And oddly enough, one of you mentioned something, and it was very close to what I got out of my meditation this morning. And it was being able to stay in the vortex without stepping out of it, dealing with other people. And I guess a good example of that would be how, let's just say I'm driving and I see a homeless person, and then I step out of the vortex because I feel sorry for them. And then it's like, hey, I have this money and I'm focused on their situation, and I pull myself away from where I need to be in alignment. And and I guess knowing that you can be in it and not of it, you know, I can still offer my whatever it is, but you know, whatever offering I can give, but not be consumed with that situation because it's not even my reality. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay. But just, I mean, I just being able to do what you need to do and stay in alignment and stay connected to source without stepping out of the vortex to deal with other people. And that was like a really, I don't know, it was so clear in the meditation this morning. I was able to receive it, which I know that that's something that I need to do because I do step out or just, you know, dealing with the low vibrational pulls, you know, when you're pulled into something that you don't necessarily have to step into, or like that was an example of me responding in a different way and not being so aggressive and always fighting fire with fire, you know, or knowing what to respond to and what deserves my energy or what I should give energy to or what deserves a response and what doesn't. And can I give it a response without stepping out of the vortex myself? And if I step out of the vortex, then I'm no longer connected to source like I need to be. Hopefully that made sense. But that was what came through in my meditation this morning.
The thing is, and I completely hear you, sis, and thank you. It's just that we are always connected to source.
Mm-hmm.
Like always. That it's like that's just where it's at. So for us to even for a moment think that that's not the real the truth, like the real reality, you know, it's just it's just that we're giving into that aspect of ourselves that's saying it's just, are you aware again? Like you're always connected to source. That's you. You're always wherever you go, there you are, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Connected, but it's like, are you aware that you're connected? And and I find that a lot of what this is teaching us, and it's just becoming more loud at this point in time, is for us to be in the conscious awareness of our own awakening. So for us to be present in our own awakening through, I don't care how small it is. I don't care if you're, and I always go back to washing the dishes for whatever reason, because I guess that's just something
There's a good meditation there. It's a great meditation to do when you're washing the dishes.
It truly is, because you're essentially, we're coming into a space where it's life as a living meditation. So you're connected all the time. Know that. Be in your conscious awareness that you are connected through everything and in everything, and there is never a moment in time that you are not, simply because you exist. Just natural law. You know what I mean? So it's like coming into a space where we begin to, or wherever you are in the journey, mastering yourself means being able to meditate through every action. Conscious actions, no matter how small they are. It's in how you walk. It's in how you're paying attention to your breath. It's in your speech. Where is this coming from? Is it just from your throat, or is it really from your core? You know what I mean? How you move through the space, how you travel from one room to another, how you speak and connect to another human being, how you look within the portals of their soul. So all of these things that, again, go so, it's just so incredibly glossed over sometimes, but this is the change, and this is the transformation, is that now we are becoming acutely aware of what it means to be present for our own selves. Like really show up for ourselves, and this is the transformation on a micro to macro level. That's how I'm experiencing it.
That makes sense. Being aware of if I'm connected to source. Right. So I guess it's just me losing sight of that when I step out, or I get pulled into it. But yeah, being aware. And I guess what I'm learning too is I've always been like one of those people where when I get to this destination, then I'll be happy. Or when I do this, I'll be happy. Or when I attain this, I'll be happy. And it never stops. So coming into the realization that the journey is the true, you know, where you find that happiness, staying the course, you know, and enjoying the journey and finding gratitude in the journey.
In the now.
Yeah, exactly.
In the now, because again, it just goes back forward to yourself. It's like you can move wherever you want. I don't care how luxurious it is, whatever luxury looks like to you. If you are not in wholeness and in the awareness of your wholeness within your own divine being, then it doesn't matter where you go.
Right.
Because you got to be home. This is your home. This is our home. You got to feel at home here.
Mm-hmm. I was listening to Sister Aset, and she was talking about that nomadic spirit, or, you know,
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. Did you hear that? Yeah. Where this is it. You have to be comfortable. Sorry, my child.
Oh, you muted because it's okay. We're not, again, okay. It's keeping the space natural. Go on, sorry, sis.
No, I was just about to say, like, you know, in terms of you know what's going on within us and what's going on with the energies is I think being mindful and not letting someone tell you what this is, like, you know, that's my thing. Is like, you know, even because it can be what you want it to be for you. You know, it doesn't have to be like this scary thing. Like, you know, one of the things in the frenzy, right? There's a frenzy that goes on, right? When we are reaching, like, you know, when we are reaching that cliffhanger, right? Or that where we're reaching where we're supposed to be, there's a frenzy. And because everyone is like, the energy, it's not so much that everyone is doing it. Everyone is doing it because the energy needs to be amped up, you know. However, that creates a frenzy within certain parts of us, or so the part of you that can maintain the balance throughout it all. And that's why foundation is important. Being able to maintain your balance within whatever position, whatever you're doing, wherever you are at, so that you're able, like, you know, in the awareness to see, to be the observer, to see yourself and step back and really look at the situations, you know, see all of the interwoven that is occurring. So for example, to me, the energy of the last lunar eclipse is merging with the solar eclipse. And so you're literally getting one big wave, you know, and then within that wave, it goes up and down of the energy. And of course, there will be a crescendo, which is going to push it toward the solstice, that December 21st date that everyone, you know, is scared about. Not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, that a lot of people, you know, are making to be a date. While in reality, we've had so many dates, you know what I mean? So it's like, here's another one. However, for as many times we've seen another one, because we evolve, we change. Each other one is new and amazing within itself. So we can experience that instead of experiencing, you know, a lot of the fear. You know, for me, today I just happened, you know, my mom listened to the news. I don't, you know, she had it on CNN, but I was passing by. And so, like, you know, how CNN does the red colors and, like, you know, really like with the scary numbers, when you look at it, there's 7 billion people on the planet. Okay. Like, and then people die every day. Like, just say, like, so if you look at the numbers, the frenzy doesn't equal, unless you're listening to the hype. And so one of the things is, like, you have to really, you know, I was listening to it, I was like, oh, It's not that I didn't want to listen to it. It's just that I didn't want that to shape my reality, because my reality is not that at all. It's not being scared of anything. It's not you know, being in a frenzy. It's really wanting to maintain my balance and maintain my awareness, solidify my foundation, and do that, and still knowing that change, transformation, and shifts are happening within all of that. And so, and especially again, the energies, they get amped up, they go up and down. And so whenever, like, so think about a wave, whenever it goes up, you're gonna feel the turbulence, and when it goes down, you're gonna feel the turbulence. So this is where you need to, like, like a surfer, surf within all of that. And and that is being, really solidifying your foundations, being aware of yourself and where you are at, and that, yes, you need to change, but at the same time, what are your roots? Go back to that, and not your roots in terms of other people, but your roots in terms of your inner self. So to me, that's why I was like, I looked at the last lunar eclipse was at the end of November, and then that's what happened this year the whole time. Each energy brought on another energy, and they all come in waves. And again, because of that, people feel that they have to make certain decisions, or people feel they can't make certain decisions, and so you again, that's the high and lows. And so you need to still move within all of that. That's how I look at it. Again, the dates are like, for 12/12, which, this would be a time I would say get into some meditation and really, like, start talking to source, and whatever source is to you. That's important to say, whatever source is to you. And so that when you go into the solar eclipse, because one of the things that the eclipse does, right, it sort of makes you not be able to grasp yourself, right, or to see yourself, or what you thought you knew, it's like it's gone, and that, because, and the reason why what you thought you knew is gone is, one, because it was like it wasn't real in the first place. And then second, this is a time to see that other aspect of yourself that you haven't seen before. So you, again, we can look at everything as opportunities to, like, oh, this is a brand new phase of myself that I'm able to peek into, that I'm able to see. And you can either peek into it, see it, or even walk fully into it. It's really up to you, but it's happening.
But it's happening.
It's happening.
Beautifully said.
It's happening.
Thanks.
Yeah,
absolutely, definitely happening. And I don't know if it's, well, I'm definitely not feeling like it's just me, but you said something earlier that was like about faces looking different, and I legit remember coming back from Jersey and New York, and like my brother's face was different. Hi, my love. Hi, Zane. Hi, oh my goodness, Tiara.
Sorry, I couldn't get him out.
So big.
Hey, beautiful.
Hi, my love.
Say hi.
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 He's flashed today.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. Nothing to be sorry about. Absolutely not. I feel like, this is welcomed. And oh yeah, no, I was just saying that I felt like I was looking like my brother's face looks different. And then I looked at my nephew and I'm like, my nephew's face looks different. And it's just that I'm seeing different. So it's and that's how drastic or how prevalent the change the inside has been, is that I'm looking at the same faces, but they legit look different. Even as as subtle as these changes are, it's like I'm looking at, and I think it has a lot to do with the kind of light that we're holding people to, others, you know. And so that was different. Like that was something that was a little out there, I'll say that, you know, for me to experience, because it was so obvious to me in a very subtle way. But yeah, very obvious. So in any case, wholeness. I feel like we are at that. Are we? I feel like we are.
Oh, at the hour mark?
Are we?
I can't tell, but I think it's saying 47 minutes in here. So,
Okay, so we're at an hour and 3 minutes.
oh, we are? Okay.
All right, so just wanted to throw that out there, that's where we are.
Like, it was, Zane was like our cue, right?
He was like, look, how long?
Listen, you said an hour, so I'm gonna hold you to that.
Zane was our cue.
Oh my goodness, Tiara, he has grown so much.
Yes, yes.
You know, last time I saw Zane was in that park with all of us. Do you guys remember? Where were we? Were we in like South LA?
Yeah. It was like this really cute park.
Yeah, that park. Remember, Tiara? Mark was there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I do remember that.
Yes, he remembers.
He does.
He remembers. Oh, wholeness, my love.
So yeah. So with that, any final thoughts, everybody?
Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? Monica, Tiara.
I'm
Everybody's
good,
quiet.
Veronica.
It's
Yeah.
like Zane is there.
Zane.
I know, right? That's awesome. Alrighty. So with that said, I guess we're gonna come back again next week. So we do want to resume our regular scheduled
Yes.
programming of coming in every Thursday. Again, you can check us out, Abundance Portals. We do have a group, so you can join the group, Abundance Portals. You know, share it with your friends. Again, we talk about consciousness. We, you know, and coming into this new age and entering all these different portals. As you can see, like we just this month, we have like 3 or 4 opening, and they're both real on the physical, the emotional, and the metaphysical, you know, space. So, you know, in terms of, you know, I'm pretty sure now everybody can feel these effects. So it's not, you know, it's not, oh, this person is crazy talk anymore, right? So with that said, wholeness on my end. Have a great
Wholeness.
Thank you very much. It was great. Love you guys.
Love. Wholeness. Thank you.